Hi guys, Ninja Man here. Today I'm going to be talking about the evolution of the Pattern 58 water bottle. So, the original version of the Pattern 58 water bottle would have been a water bottle similar to this, which is the Pattern 58. And I think it has got the crow's foot on it. Now this one's been painted, but they're usually in black. Well, this one's been obviously camouflaged. So you would have had one of them. You would have had a plastic beaker like this, which then goes on top. And then you would have had an aluminium version of this one. Well, this one's the Crusader mug, and again, it's got the crow's foot on it. It's an original BCB Crusader mug in stainless steel. So the first version would have been aluminium. Then they changed it to stainless steel. So this one is still Gen 1, what they would have called Gen 1, the first, or Mark 1 of the first version. And then people started making lids for them. So you can get these off eBay. There's a person who actually still makes these on eBay. And so then you could use your Crusader mug with a lid on it. And you've got a bit of a strainer there as well to strain if you've been cooking things in it. So that's how the first sort of came about. And then what you would have done to cook on it is, the first of all, they just brought out these. And then obviously you would have had it on a bit of an angle, actually, like that. You would have clipped it on an angle, because otherwise it would have fallen off. And then it would just sit on there like that, as you can see. And they just use extra blocks. But later on, they modified this so that it would take an actual shaped container. So then you didn't have to have it on an angle. You could literally go like that. Now, you would have had it like that if you was putting your mess tins on. So your mess tin would have gone straight on there, no problem. But if you wanted to do your beaker and cook some water, you would put that on. And then now you've got a place for it to sit in perfectly. So in the evolution of it, they actually, people decided they wanted a lid for it. And obviously the army thought, yeah, let's make an actual thing what fits in there like that, so that it can be a lot easier just to boil some water. Because a lot of the time, the MRE trays you wouldn't use all the time. If you was out in the field, you might need just to have a quick drink, and you can still put an MRE in this and boil it up. So it was a quicker way of doing it, and you didn't have to take as much. You didn't have to take your mess tins with you, which could stay then in your pack. So that's how they did it in the first stage. And then this is another variant of the Mark 1, where they added extra stuff. So obviously it got a lot bigger. The pack's a lot bigger, because on my 58 webbing, that fits in perfectly. Does the other stuff there, the Mark 1 with the Crusader mug. And it all fits in together, and it's about that size of pack. Well, then they brought these out a bit bigger, still Mark 1, but then they managed to make a plastic lid, which I've not took it out of the packet yet, but we don't need that packet, so we'll take it out. So I'll show you the plastic lid in a minute. But again, they had a beaker, they had the original black, but this one's been anodised black. But this one, I think it's just steel. It's not, still an army version, but this is 2002, and it isn't made by BCB. Oh, it is made by BCB as well. So what they did was, they still had the beaker, but I think the beaker looks a little bit different now. They've changed the beaker a little bit, so it's a lot bigger. It's a little bit bigger. It's a different shape, a little bit different shape. They still kept the pattern bottle, but I think the bottle's even a little bit bigger as well. Look, as you can see there, to the old version, the bottle changed, so they made it a little bit bigger. Lid stayed the same, but they made a bit more, so you could just get a little bit more water in it. Oops. And so then they had the cup, similar to the Crusader one, but in I don't know if that's stainless steel, but it's anodized steel, I think. It's like a coating with PTFE, so it's non-slip. Whether it's any good or not is another thing. Then you'd have that, and it fits in very snug, no rattling. And then this on top, which fits very snug. And you can see it fits very snug. So this is still a Mark 1 58 pattern, but it's just that they changed it a little bit. So obviously now they've copied or made a similar one with the stainless steel or the they didn't make a titanium one yet, so made a steel one. So obviously they went from aluminium to steel, to stainless steel, and then to steel, back to steel. Whether it is stainless steel, I don't know, because it's coated, so I can't really tell, but it's quite heavy. And if I look at that one, that's a bit lighter. Still similar shape. I don't know if that bottle actually would fit in there. Yeah, it fits in perfect, look, so that still fits in. Even though this one would fit in there, but it's a little bit looser, look. And this one fits in there, but it's a little bit looser, so you get a bit of rattling. You don't need that. You really want it a bit tighter. So I'll put that back there because that's obviously to do with the first how they first tried it out. So then they brought this out, and then they brought, just put that cup back there because that is that one. So the plastic cup's seems to be a lot stiffer, a lot better plastic. And so now you've got a plastic beater. So literally you could put a plastic lid. Oops, I don't know if it actually fits this. It should do. Now it doesn't fit the beaker, but it does fit the actual mug. So literally then you could pour it out if you was, putting some vegetables in there and you wanted to pour it out. And it's quite tight, that. Now whether that's going to be, if that's on the fire and it wouldn't melt that, I don't know. But I think it would. They wouldn't have made it otherwise. So literally that will not go on your mug. There we go, that doesn't matter. But will it fit on the Crusader? And it fits a lot better because it's looser. So that's perfect. That one's a little bit stiffer. It holds itself in place. Maybe once it's been heated up a few times, it won't do that. So to cook on, they changed from the actual Examine sort of stoves to a newer version, which was this. Now this opens up like that, so you can put it wherever you want it, but then you've got literally a hole here, and in this hole here you could put a trangia burner, but the trouble with the trangia burner is when you put that on, it doesn't sit right. So I'm going to show you what they actually come up with after that, even in the Mark 1. So you can put in here what they call fire gel, which is fire dragon gel, and there's a gel there. You get a gel and you just take it out of the packet, pop it in there, light it, you'd flip that over, your mug would go on nice and easy, and that's where you'd cook, how you'd cook. But, and again, your old Crusader mug would still fit on that, no problem. So there's not a problem with like using it for any other different ways. So if you didn't want to use this, and you had, now I don't have no transia ones because I didn't need to get one. The simple reason is there's titanium out now, so I got a titanium one, which is a MEFS burner, similar to a transia, the same size. But what they used to do as well is they used to get some of this stuff called like fire cord, and it's just like rope. And what you can do is you can roll it up inside there, sit it in, and you can light it, put paraffin on it, and just light it, or petrol, or whatever you really needed to use at the time. If you didn't have the means, you know what I mean. In the field, you would have you wouldn't probably had MEFs with you, but for us who do bushcrafting, awesome. So now you can put your transia in there, but as you can see when I put that, I mean, this isn't a transia, but it's still a MEFs burner. Just another type of way of making it. But you see how that sits now? It sits on there. That means it won't burn properly. It probably would with this one, because the burn hole's here as well as at the top. But what they ended up making was an actual frame. So they made this frame here. So what happens is now, this frame goes on top of there, like that, sits on top. And that just gives it, when you put your pot on, just gives it that little extra lift, just enough for it to work properly. So they were still thinking about it, you know, the Mark 1 version, they were still messing about and changing it. It was BCB, they was changing things, and obviously somebody must have said, oh, you know, this ain't right, we can't use this on it, and if we wanted to use it, so. And with having this on as well, like that, what you could do is you don't have to, you could have that handle out then, you could set that out, you could literally go like that as well, put it that way, you don't need that handling, because this actually, once you sit this in place like that, now you can feed sticks through there. So you could have it, get it going, and then feed sticks through there, and still, your pot would still sit on. Perfect. So it's like 3 ways of using it. So you could either put the fire gel in, or you could use one of these. And even if you use that now, you don't even have to actually put that over the top, because this sits over the top of that like that. So it works even better. So in the pattern 58, they literally just still kept changing little bits and bobs and making it a lot better. So now they've made that a lot better. It's a lot tighter. The cup sits on it and it's a lot tighter. No rattling, but it's a lot bigger. If I put that against the original, so that is a lot lower down, by a good, probably just short of an inch lower. Still got the same footprint round that way. And then I would, obviously you've got your lid there, and the same with this now. You'd have your lid there like that. But now you've got these extra things to worry about. But that, they made that so it's slot underneath like that. So they started off with that, and then they actually made this later on. Someone must have you know, give them some inspiration and said, look, we need one of these, we need some sort of a windbreak or something, and make it a little bit higher. So they made that, so that means that you can use one of them. So after that, they went on to making a Mark II version. So the Mark II version is this. Still high, very tall. Again, they come along with the lid. The beaker stays the same. They've obviously now sort of got this to a T. The bottle stays the same now. Maybe it was made by another company. Sometimes, yeah, it's made by Osprey now. So Osprey started making these, apart from BCB, because there used to be BCB. And then changed the cup again. So maybe someone was complaining that the one what was black, which has got PTFE in it, maybe they didn't want that on it. So they went back to aluminium. So now the Mark II version is lighter. It's a little bit different in shape. Again, because the shape of it's changed a little bit. So if we put that back there, if I just bring out the Mark 1 and take the lid off like this, you can see how it's changed again. So they literally changed it again. You can see it's changed. The bottom's a little bit different. The lid near enough the same. It's not bent in there, look, it's straight. So it's a little bit different. Now I don't know if with this lid will fit on there, which it does, but now you've got a gap there. So even they've kept the same lid, but it doesn't actually fit the pot properly. Whether it fits the actual mug properly is another thing. Because there's the mug has still got the curve in it, which is very strange considering, yeah, the Mark 1 is still, it's identical. So they never changed that, they just changed this to be a lot lighter. BCB again, look. This time this one doesn't have a mark on it. So maybe this one was more, the Mark II version was more for us lot doing bushcraft or survival skills, things like that, training and practicing, but they still use this in the British military. But now it's anodised aluminium, so it's a little bit lighter, but they've gone back to aluminium, which is weird because it's anodised now, so it's a different sort of aluminium. And then what they did was they actually made another type of burner, but this time they've sort of manufactured it, as you can see with the older one. They've made it bigger, so now it's more bigger in the pack. But now you have that problem of having to have 2 pieces of metal to make the windbreak. It has now enough room to put the transient burner in, or as I've got here, the titanium sort of MEFS burner, and it fits in no problem. And then you've still got that to put over the top, and your cup fits in all right. And again, going back to the old Crusader mug, your Crusader mug would still fit on there, no problem. Still fits in. So you can still use this with your Crusader if you wanted to use, you know, if you've got a Crusader and you just want to get this bottom part, you can still use that, and it's a great way of using it for fire. But the only thing now is you can't put wood in between. As the other one, you could slide a little couple of twigs in and just keep feeding it with twigs and use it as a twig burner as well. This one you'd have to keep taking it off and putting twigs in. So, and then again, you can still put your fire gel in there, or whatever else you want to do, whatever way you decide to have fuel in there. So it's weird, isn't it, how they've gone backwards. They've gone backwards with aluminium, anodised aluminium, compared to the first, when they went from aluminium to stainless steel to be more robust, which I prefer. I prefer the stainless steel mug than all of these. So I don't really like the look of that, with it having PTFE in it. But if you are cooking anything inside there and you're just putting not mess tins, but if you're just drinking water, I suppose it'd be all right. But you know, if you're putting MREs in it, it's not going to bother you either. But just strange how they've kept certain things like with that curving. Like they could have made that straight, couldn't they? So it would fit this a bit differently. But because they hadn't changed the bottle, and the bottle's got a little curve at the back, it's weird how that slots in there. It's a little bit looser now as well, so it's not as good quality, I don't believe, compared to the Mark 1. The Mark 1, I think they sort of perfected it, apart from using this sort of mug. Well, it's good that it's a lot stronger, so it's going to take some beating, that, the same as the Crusader mug. But it fits in so snug, no noise to that. And literally, that would, let's say, we'll slot that out there, look. You can put that like that, put your arms in, and then this piece comes at the back, like that. So it'll all go inside your kit. Shame that this should have been bent. I mean, when people do stuff, like to me, whoops, sorry, let's move you about a bit. Let's get it back in place. But to me, attention to detail would be literally, that would have been just bent a different way, so that would literally sit on properly. Now it doesn't. You're going to have a bit extra space there. That's a silly idea, very silly idea. You'd have thought they could have just sorted that out, look. You see how it's not sitting there. Now I wonder if my Crusader mug has got a better shape on it. No, it's still identical. They still haven't thought about, oh, why don't we just bring that bevel from there to here instead? Then that would sit in a lot tighter and wouldn't make a noise. Very strange. I'm sure someone wants slapping for that, because look at the way it's sat now, look. Don't sit dead square. And obviously if you push them out, they've made it with that V, so it does go out. And look how much it sits in now, nice and tight. So why didn't they just think, oh yeah, let's change them handles. So what you can do, you can literally bend them handles a little bit. You can literally put that on there and bend them, get them to fit a little bit better. So that's what I will be doing on that. I'm getting that to bend a little bit better and straighter. But strange how they changed it. Like I say with this, I reckon you could still leave that in and put your lid on top. Look. Yeah, and it doesn't affect it in any way, shape or form. And you can put your handles back like that, and that's a lot flatter. That's a lot, say that one, see how straight and flat that is. But as you can see, the lid dumps down very good, very crap. I wonder if that lid's any tighter. No, but on that one, when you push it on that one, look at that, it holds it in place. Look, it doesn't even come off. That's how tight it is. Look. So that one's a lot better thought out. Crazy. And then obviously they didn't make any more after that, but America sort of copied a little bit and sort of brought something similar. So they made a bottle with an Algene bottle, but now we're going into titanium stuff. So now someone's made this and copied these. Now I've actually bent that so it actually goes round that, because it was dead flat. So I've literally bent that around that, so it literally, if there's a curve to it, it was dead flat across. So I've actually bent that round to make it sit nice and go in your pack easier. And these ones are made by, and they've got an actual thing that clips in place. But these are made by Boundless Voyage, right? So the Chinese, but I reckon the US military could use this, and we should use it really, because it's super light. That's miles lighter. It totally takes the pee from the lightweight of that. It's got a good lid with it, a good titanium lid. Maybe it could have done with a spout here or something, maybe so you could tip it out. It's not a mad game changer though. You've got an hanger now, so literally you can hang it over the fire. So something what they should have took into place there, but you know, took in consideration that they could, you know, you could hang it over a fire instead. Bit of rope, you know, or a bit of chain, hang it over the fire, and you can still cook with it. But what they've done is they've come into making this what slots underneath like that. So it's quite minimalist. Do you know what I mean? Now I don't know if a pattern. I'm just going to check this out though. If a pattern 58 bottle would fit in that, I don't think it does. And no, it won't sit inside that. Now maybe the old pattern 58 might. So let's check that one out next. Check the old pattern 58 out. And that one doesn't fit in either. It's just not the right shape. So again, that's why you have to get a Nalgene bottle. And this is a proper Nalgene. And you can get it in green as well. But I got it in red, so it was to say contaminated water. So I'd put contaminated water in that. I wouldn't drink out of it. And I'd only boil it or purify it off that. And so that sits in there nice. Now what I want to go to is this. So now they've made a sort of thing so you can literally put it on top now. And now you can put sticks in, or you can put fire gel, or you could even put your transient bearing, which I'm going to find in a minute where I'll put it underneath that underneath. So you could even slot that underneath, put your transient burner inside, you just lift it on top like that. And again, or like I say, that's a titanium version, so that would be all super light and just using a MF burner, a titanium one. And there you are. So going down now, this is possibly the lightest one I've got. It's the lightest version with a lid. Which you can see I've been using. I've used it with sticks. I've used it with fire dragon. I use it on the beach. I just put a chunk of fire dragon on the sand, put this on. It boiled in no time. I obviously didn't have that in. I had the lid on, and like I say, probably 5 minutes. It took 5 or 6 minutes, and it was boiled. But what I love about this is it's got that handle, which you can now, and it clips in place as well. It's got little clips on the side there, so it actually clicks into its place, so it doesn't just fall down on you. That's another thing what I used to hate about tins and stuff, to fall down. This one doesn't, look, it clips in place. So literally now I can hang that up over a fire, put some water in it. Put a lid on it if you wanted. It still fits on. And if I wanted to straighten that, it's not as hard as just to bend it straight, because it's titanium, it will not bust. So it's so good about, that's what I love about it. So this is my lightest version, and I would say this is the superior version, because it's lightweight, it packs down very small, the bottle fits in tight, no checking, the bottom fits on really nice, slots over them, I'll show you, look, slots over that, no checking, no noise, literally no noise, and that's what I like about it. And then your lid, put that in your pattern 58 webbing, and that's what I've got. I have this one in one side of my pattern 58 webbing, and I have the original Mark 1 Crusader mug, and this baby. But I would maybe love to change this out if it would fit in to that sort of set, because now I can feel that, look, it doesn't make a noise again. No noise apart from the handles once they're sat in like that. No noise. Just a little bit higher. So obviously it's going to stay with that one. But if I ever needed it, I could always put it together. That one, just a little bit of a bit loose. The lid's not loose on that. The lid's quite tight on that one once it gets on. That don't rattle. Put them together. But what I would do is just put a cloth. Get a cloth for cleaning. Just put a cloth around there, and as I push it in, it'd tighten up. And that is my kit on one side of my webbing, and I have this lighter one on the opposite side of the webbing. So I've got two ways of cooking, and if I want to cook some water and cook in a marry at the same time, I can do that. So that's how I roll with my gear. I hope you enjoyed that and you get the idea of how these all work. And again, you can still use the Examine block on the Mark II and the Mark 1. The Mark 1 here, look, still fits that as well, so you can still use that, which I will be using it like that, as well as using this other version of what they made, and then having this on the top. So it was a good idea that they made this windshield, which then sort of doubles up as a wood burner. Not if you've got that there like that. Well, possibly, but I would have that out. Slip that on there like that again, just showing you. And there, look, you've got that little slot there to feed twigs through. So you get your fire going fast and just keep feeding twigs through as you're boiling. You know what I mean? So that was a good sort of, they went forwards and then they went backwards. It's just very strange how people who think of these things, how they don't really take into account. Like, I think they've took into account there a good thing. I mean, it's a little bit unsteady, that's it, once it's clipped in right, but yeah. And the thing is, you can carry that then. You can hold that while you're cooking. So if you didn't want to burn the ground or anything like that, leave no trace and stuff, you can literally, you possibly could hold that. Might get hot, I don't know, while you're boiling a drink. But the good thing is you can move it about, or you can use that to stabilise it a little bit. But yeah, I hope you enjoy that. You get a good idea how the pattern 58 actually changed over the years. So as you can see there, they've changed over the years from the first sort of era to the second era, and then to the third era, which would be the second era, because that's a Mark 1 still as that. They still call it the Mark 158. If I just put all that together like that, you get a good view of it all. So you've got that one, and you've got your Mark II version, which at the moment Cheshire Wanderer uses quite regular the base on that one. I don't know if I think he still uses his Crusader mug, but he actually uses the second generation base. He finds it very good. So just so you can see, and then I would say the ultimate one, because putting these like that, the ultimate sort of, I'm just going to get it in, sorry, get this in right view for you. the ultimate, because that one you'd have to have that with it. That one you could, don't forget, they can be used on that, or they can be used on that. Well, I would say you'd use that on that, and fire gel on them. So, just how it's changed over the years. From the first pattern 58, which I haven't got an aluminium version. I'm going to have to get an aluminium version so I can actually show the actual proper way they changed. And when they come to this one, they actually made, which I'm still waiting for it to come, a Fire Dragon one of these. So they made a special one what Fire Dragon fits in. So when I get that, I will show you that, because then they go from that backwards again, because they don't have this in, which is stupid. Do you know what I mean? But they actually make a Fire Dragon version. So that would have been the Fire Dragon version, and this one then you'd go backwards with a Trangia. Do you know what I mean? But they can work in both. And then this one works with that, wood, everything. You can use all that in it. You can even use that one, I suppose. I reckon with this old one, I reckon even that would still fit on it. Let's just check it out. Well, it sits over the top. It sits over the top. Let's put it down a little bit so you can see. But it doesn't sit inside it, look. So it wouldn't sit inside it, but it would sit on the top, nice, easy, look. And it would be burning the bottom and giving the correct amount of heat there. So, strange how they went. They did real good there. Did a little bit better. Just, you know what I mean, did better. Then went backwards, but made the bottom better. But went backwards on using anodised aluminium. Then using this stainless steel version, which they should use. I think this they should use now in the British Army. I think this would be the best. I know it's expensive, but if they use that in the British Army, the weight of it, if I actually weighed them, that is going to be better than that one, and that one. And even with that. And you can also, with that, you've got you do get some little titanium things. So these actually, you can use this as you can sit these on top like that. Let's show you. To move it down. But you can see there, look, if you take this chain off, you get two cross versions like that what sit on. So you can turn that into a little stand as well. So you can literally just stand it on top of that. So, great bit of kit. I love titanium stuff, and that's why I always went back. But I also do love my pattern 58 mugs. So I hope you enjoyed that and got a bit of information and a bit of understanding how they've changed over the years. From the pattern 51, Mark 1, Mark 1 again, and then Mark 2. And then this one, which isn't not to do with the British version, more of an American version, which I think the American would use if they had the money to afford them. But that is what I would use. Now, being super light, you're only carrying the weight of the water. Now, the next thing I'd love to get is a squeezy bottle, where you could actually fit on top of here a squeezy version of this, a proper squeezy bottle with an attachment to fit the what we use as Sawyer filters. If you could just do that then, and then you'd be in red squeezable one. You'd put dirty water in it, put your filter on, squeeze it out straight into your tin. It'd just be the bee's knees. That would be the ultimate sort of mess kit. Anyway, bye for now. Ninja Man out. Hope you enjoyed.